number 6, is to be a role model. And this is one of the most important qualities of leadership. When Tom Peters wrote his book, In Search of Excellence, he said this is perhaps the most important of all, is to be the kind of person that other people admire, is to set high standards for yourself and then always live up to those standards. If you want people in your company to dress well yourself. If you want them to be punctual for every meeting. If you want them to do their work quickly and well, do your work quickly and well. If you want them to treat each other nicely, treat everybody nicely. In other words, you at the top set the tone for everybody below you. Everybody in the company looks at the boss and does what the boss is doing. And the boss sets the tone and determines the morale of the organization. So one of my favorite questions, which I pass on to you, is this, is what kind of a company would my company be if everybody in it was just like me? What kind of a company would your company be if everybody in it did exactly what you did all day, every day? Would it be a better company? Or is there room for improvement? And the fact is there's room for improvement. And if you're honest with yourself, you say, well, I could be a bit more punctual or a bit better prepared for meetings, or I could focus on revenue generation tasks, or I could be nicer to people or listen. I mean, once you ask this question, you set really high standards for yourself, and you always look for ways to be a better boss. And you'll find the very best companies have the best bosses, the best leaders. And they're the leaders that everybody admires and looks up to and respects because of the way they work and the way they treat other people. So keep setting high standards for yourself. And they say the average person compares themselves with others, and the superior person compares themselves with what they are capable of being, with their true potential. Number 7, key, is to perform and get results. Coming back to our old friend, results. In the final analysis, all your hopes and dreams and all your income and all your future and the size of the house you live in and the car you drive and the vacations you take will be determined by the results that you get. And your job is to dedicate your working life to getting more and more and better results. And so perform and get results. And as I reverse, going right back to what Drucker said, the leader asks, what results are expected of me? And of all those results, what are the most important results? And then what you do is you pick the most important result of all, and then you focus and concentrate on that one result. And you work day and night, and you work with total dedication to accomplish that one result until you make a habit of starting and completing and achieving your most important results. And that will do more to help you in your business in terms of financial and personal results than anything else you can do. But it will also do more to affect you psychologically and emotionally. It will raise your self-esteem and self-confidence. They say confidence comes from accomplishing. Confidence doesn't come from attending motivational seminars. Confidence comes from actually doing good work and seeing that you've done good work and having people say, that's good work. Wow, you feel good about that. And you're internally motivated and driven to do it again and to repeat the process because you're getting positive responses whenever you do good work and whenever you complete your task. Now, 2 more things I have to finish with you. Those are the 7. The number 1 quality for success in business, according to the study of the presidents of the Fortune 500, of the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in America, is unbridled optimism. These people are so positive they should be arrested and held in padded cells. They are so positive about the future of their business that no matter what happens, they just overwhelm every difficulty. It never occurs to them that they will not be successful. They will just be successful in a different way. Now, how do you become an optimist? Well, optimism is like mental fitness. Just like if you want to be physically fit, you work out physically with your body. If you want to be mentally fit, you exercise your mind. So there's 4 things that you can do for the rest of your life to be a really positive person. Number 1 is to think and talk about your goals and how to achieve them. Is when you're thinking and talking about your most important goals, both business and personal, and you're thinking of the actions that you can take to achieve those goals, and you're actually taking those steps, your sense of optimism goes up dramatically. Number 2 is to look for the good in every situation. One of the facts is that you're going to have nothing but problems and difficulties and obstacles all your life. That goes with the nature of being in business. The only question is, how do you respond to them? And the answer is always look for something good. This, by the way, is a discovery made in interviewing thousands of the most successful people, is they make it a habit. Whenever something goes wrong, they say, well, that's good. And then find out something good about it. And there's always something good. No matter how bad the situation is, there's always something good that comes from it. The third way to become an optimist is to seek the valuable lesson in every setback or difficulty. This is the most important, perhaps, of all, is that you can focus on the problem and the loss, or you can focus on the lesson and what you can learn to be better next time. And whichever one you focus on determines whether you're positive or negative. If you are thinking about your goals, you're always positive. If you're looking for the good, you're always positive. If you're looking into your biggest problem today for the lessons you can learn from that problem, you'll always be positive. And the fourth key to optimism is to continue to learn and grow. Continue to learn new things that can help you to achieve your most important goals. And then, of course, take action. But you'll find that leaders are learners. They're constantly learning new things. And whenever you learn something new that can help you, it makes you happy. It makes you positive. It releases endorphins in your brain. The last thing I said I would teach you is a way to increase your income by 10 times. Would that be a good thing to finish up with? Yeah, sure. All right. Now, it's a very simple formula. When I started off, by the time I was 36 years old, I still remember I started off speaking, and in my first year of speaking, I got a call from a senior businessman who asked me if I would do a talk for 800 business owners in his organization. And the talk would be on the success secrets of self-made millionaires. Or would I speak about self-made millionaires? So I designed a talk, and I sat down and I started to do some research, and I realized I didn't know anything about self-made millionaires, but I had 2 months before the talk. So I quickly did an enormous amount of reading, and I found that self-made millionaires, people who had started with nothing and become millionaires in one generation, had been studied exhaustively. And so I put together a talk called 21 Success Secrets of Self-Made Millionaires. And I gave this talk, and it was very well received. And over the next 20 years, I was asked to give this talk all over the world. I put it on audio, I put it on video, and I wrote a book on it, which has sold hundreds of thousands of copies in multiple languages. And countless people that I've met all over the world said that that book made me rich. The CD made me rich. It was a 1-hour talk originally. Eventually, I expanded it like an accordion, would give it as an all-day talk, 21 ideas. And as I began to do this, I began to think, how could I increase my productivity so that I could become a self-made millionaire as well? And as a result of all this research, I pulled together 7 steps that I could take every day. And it was based on what we call the law of incremental improvement. In Japan, they call it the principle of Kaizen, which means continuous betterment. Sometimes it's called the law of accumulation, is that each thing you learn accumulates and helps you improve in other things that you learn. And my question I started off with was, if I wanted to increase my income 10 times, and I came up with this formula, if you could increase your productivity by 0.1% per day, 5 days a week, could you do that? Well, 1/10 is 1/1000th more productive. Most people could be twice as productive just simply by focusing on the most valuable use of their time every morning. But this was just 1/1000th more productive per day. So if I said, if you could do that 0.1% per day, 5 days a week, you'd be 0.5% more productive in a week. Having become 0.5% more productive, could you do it next week? And the answer is yes. So that would be, in 4 weeks, you'd be 2% more productive. In 13 4-week months, 52 weeks, you'd be 26% more productive in the course of a year. Is that possible? And the answer is, of course it's possible. Most people could be twice as productive within 24 hours just by doing only the most valuable things they have to do. If you did it 26% a year with compounding times 10 years, at the end of 10 years, you'd be 1,004% more productive. You'd increase your income by more than 10 times. Interesting, I was in China last week, and my translator is a man named Peter Yao. And Peter started studying my materials on YouTube a decade ago when he was a security guard at night in a shopping center and come from a farm, came from a very low level, and he began to watch free videos with translation, German or Chinese characters on YouTube, and he began to learn English because he could see the characters. He actually taught himself English watching my videos, and one of my videos was on this 1,000% formula that I'm going to share with you. So I was talking on the stage to several hundred business people in China, and I was talking about this 1,000% formula, and he stopped and he translated. He said he learned this formula 10 years ago, and he didn't increase his income 10 times or 20 times. He increased his income 166 times in 10 years. He went from a poor Chinese worker to being a wealthy Chinese businessman and property owner. And he did it in 10 years. He's only in his mid-30s. So when I started to use this formula I'm going to share with you, instead of taking 10 years, it took me 5 years to increase my income 10 times. And then I kept doing it, and I increased my income 10 more times, which is 100 times. I increased my income 100 times in 10 years. And I went from rags to riches. And I couldn't believe it. And I've taught this all over the world, and people come up to me and they say, "You made me rich. That technique made me rich." So here they are, just in case you're curious. Number one is arise 2 hours before your first appointment or work each morning and spend 30 to 60 minutes reading in your field. Start the day. It's called the golden hour. Invest the golden hour in yourself mentally. What I do is I get up and I physically exercise, and then I read and learn every single day. Make it a habit, and I do it 5, 6, 7 days a week, and sometimes longer. But if you read 30 to 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you read about a book a week. A book a week will translate into about 50 books a year. The average adult does not read more than one nonfiction book in a year. If you read 50 books in a year, 30 to 50, you'll get the equivalent of a PhD in your field each year. I have read single books with a single chapter, with a single observation from an expert that have been worth $1 million to me. But you never know where you're going to get that insight. So what you have to do is keep reading lots of material. And every so often, one observation will just jump off the page at you, and your whole life will be changed. So but use the law of probabilities by reading all the time. Reading is to the mind as exercise is to the body. If you want to be physically fit, you work out with physical exercise. If you want to be mentally fit, you have to read. That's number one. Number two is rewrite your major goals in the present tense each day. I use a spiral notebook, and every day you take and turn the page and rewrite your goals. Don't rewrite them from the previous page, write them from memory. And I teach people in another area to write down 10 goals. And every day write down your 10 goals without referring to the previous page. As you write down the goals, it's called, not printing, not typing, it's called a psychoneuromotor activity, which is a big word that says it engages your whole brain when you write down a goal. There's no other way to engage your whole brain. And everything that you write down is actually automatically recorded in your mental hard drive. And it goes into your subconscious and begins working 24 hours a day. I have worked with thousands of people who have written down their goals once, and within 1 year, their life was transformed. Some people, within 1 week, their whole life was transformed by just writing down their goals. Whenever I do my coaching programs with business owners, I'll start off and I'll say, I'll take a spiral notebook, like a school notebook. I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you now to your new best friend. For the next 31 days, I want you to write down 10 goals on a separate page every day without looking back. And when you come back to the next coaching program, we'll talk about the results. People come back, 100% are just shocked at the difference that takes place in their lives when they begin writing their goals each day. If you just rewrote your goals each day, it would increase your income 1,000%. If you just read 30 to 60 minutes each day, it would increase your income 1,000% if you did nothing else. Number 3 is to plan every day in advance. Always work from a list and make a list of everything you have to do the next day, the night before. And planning will save you 25 to 50% of your time every single day. You'll get your 1,000% just by planning carefully before you start work. Number 4 is to focus and concentrate on the most valuable use of your time every single day. Select your most important tasks, start on those, and work only on those until they're complete. If you can do that, that alone will increase your income by 1,000%. Number 5 is to listen to audio programs as you move around. I used to say listen to audio programs in your car, but now you can download any number of educational audio programs onto your iPhone, and you can listen to them whenever you're moving around. Turn driving time into learning time. Turn exercise time into learning time. The only time, by the way, to listen to audio programs is when you're doing something else. You can't sit and listen to audio programs because it's too slow. But if you're driving, you can listen. If you're exercising, you can listen. If you're walking, you can listen. Even if you're going shopping, you can listen. Keep feeding your mind with new ideas, because one idea can make you a fortune. I remember listening to one audio program by one very smart entrepreneur in March of 2010, and he had one observation, and I built a whole seminar around that observation, and I have earned more than $2 million from that one observation since then. It was sort of like the lightning strike that's put everything together. It's sort of like sometimes electricity in a compound will change the whole compound. It was just one idea that led to a $2 million idea. But you never know where the idea is going to come from, so you have to expose yourself to lots of ideas. Number 6 is ask 2 questions after every event of importance, whether it's a sales call, a meeting with a client, an interview. And the 2 questions are what I call the magic questions. And these questions will make you rich. Question number 1 is, what did I do right? And then take and write down everything that you could think of that you did right in that situation. Do this immediately after. We were talking on the radio this morning. In the military, after every military exercise, they immediately do what is called an after-action report. An after-action report is the officers are forced to sit down and go through every single step of the operation that just took place, and they ask, what did we do right, and what would we do differently? What will we do differently next time? And what you're doing is you're capturing the very best things that you learned from that last experience. If you do this after every sales call, within a year, you'll have increased your sales 5 to 10 times. Within a year, you'll be one of the highest paid people in your field. If you do this after every presentation, as I used to do, if you do this after every interview, as I used to do, it's just astonishing how fast you learn and grow when you do an after-action report immediately after you have completed the event or the action. And number 7 is to treat each person like a $1 million customer. Treat each person that you meet as though they are the most important person in the world. Start with your family, start with your spouse and your children, and as you go through the day, treat everybody as if they were important. Mary Kay Ash, amazing woman who divorced, mother of 2 children, started selling cosmetics and eventually built Mary Kay Ash Cosmetics, which has made more women millionaires than any other single business in history. She said the philosophy of her company was to imagine that everybody you meet is wearing a sign, and the sign says, make me feel important, and respond to that sign that everybody is wearing. So everybody in her company was encouraged to make everybody they met feel important. If you will do that, more doors will open for you, more opportunities will open for you. But the most amazing thing is this, is when you make other people feel good about themselves, you feel better about yourself as well. As you make other people happy, you feel happier. As you raise the self-esteem of others, your self-esteem and self-confidence goes up as well. So from now on, treat every person as though this person could buy $1 million worth of your product if you just treated them nicely. And sometimes I see people who will do this with prospective customers, but then they'll treat waitresses and taxi drivers with disrespect. The mark of a superior person is the way they treat people who cannot do them any good. So you can always tell a top person because of the way they treat people who can't do any good for them. If all you do is you treat people who you think can help you well, it means you're a different type of person than a person who treats everybody well. One of the great philosophers, Thomas Carlyle, said, you can tell a big man by the way he treats little people. And your job is to just treat little people well. And so those are the 7.